Well, welcome to Your In Depth, where we walk through and break down our favorite fictional universes. Today, we wrap up our journey through the first two seasons of The Mandalorian, to which will make us up to date with the series. But that's chapter 16. We're doing that today, titled The Rescue.
And then
Um, yeah.
after that, we'll be returning back to Clone Wars for Star Wars.
Yep. Yeah, and then we
So,
will, we'll be returning back to the Clone Wars, which will be fun. I really like The Mandalorian, but I'm really excited to get back into the Clone Wars and do
yeah,
all
because
that.
the clones are the best.
Yeah. Quick update for the podcast. The last two episodes, if not a little bit more, we've been talking about a subscription option that we have implemented so that you guys can get early access. Through seeing that feature, I don't really care for how it worked, because then it's just like, if we're really good at like getting like episodes recorded ahead of time, and then I do that for everybody, there's like 6 different episodes locked for everyone that you can see, but you can't click without paying. And it's just, I feel like I don't really want that, because then you guys are probably annoyed by it, as well as I don't like the way it looks. So instead, we have decided to start up a Patreon where we're going to run it the exact same way, to where you guys do get early access for the $5 a month. You can go over there and you can see things as soon as we get them edited and uploaded, not scheduled. So it's like you get them early access. And then actually, if you spend, and donate $7 a month, we'll do uncensored as well. But there's just ways that you guys can, support us if you'd like. And I think that'll just be a better way of doing it. But that's all the update I have for the podcast. I haven't seen any new Apple reviews or anything like that, but I encourage you guys to go do so. We will read them here, so you can have some fun with that, because we will read them on the podcast. Keep that in mind. You could have some fun with it. I'm just saying, like, but anyway, no, I think that we're nothing really else. So let's get into Mandalorian and wrap this baby up. So Evan, what has happened before now? If you want to give the summary as well, but I don't know, just I guess before we actually dive into it.
One second. My computer's being stupid and not going where I tell it to go.
Yeah.
So the description, or the brief little summary for this episode, is simply: the Mandalorian and his allies attempt a daring rescue.
Neat.
So just for a solid recap of what's happened since we are on the season finale of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Mando had found the child. We're like super early season 1. End of season 1, we find out that Moff Gideon, who was a high-ranking official in the Empire, is the one seeking the child. And that's just to give a little back thing, I guess. I don't know. But season 2, we find out the child's name, which is Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
And through some other Mandalorians, mainly Bo-Katan, Mando learns that he can take Grogu to try and find Ahsoka Tano, and maybe she can train him, because he's been given the task of returning Grogu to his kind, aka the Jedi. Ahsoka redirects him to this planet where Grogu can reach out through the Force to potentially contact any Jedi that are out there, one that might be able to come and actually train him properly. But during those events, as Grogu is reaching out through the Force, he gets kidnapped by Moff Gideon. So Mando, along with Cara Dune and Mayfield, go to an Imperial base, which we saw last episode.
Mm-hmm.
To get the location of Moff Gideon. So we can only assume, this episode is going to be about them actually, executing their plan to rescue Grogu,
Yeah.
with the help of Boba Fett, who we have been reintroduced to, here in the second season of Mandalorian.
Yep. So that's everything that leads us up to this very point. So we get our little summary, basically doing that. We get a little, a recap, and then we get our little Disney Plus intro where it says, it's like going through the different things.
The recap of this episode too basically just tells you what I said.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. That's like, all right, we got what you said, and now we're into, that's what it is.
I would just say the only thing that I didn't really mention that shows in the recap here was the Empire potentially trying to use Grogu, and we talked about it a little bit on that episode.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to use Grogu's blood. You make Force-sensitive clones and whatnot.
Right.
That's kind of the reasoning behind trying to get Grogu and Moff Gideon kidnapping him from Mando.
Yeah. But we get the little intro, and then we start off with the Slave One firing away at an Imperial ship. What was that one called? That's a Lambda ship or something like that?
Something like that. It's the typical ship that you'd see like Darth Vader or the Emperor come landing on a planet or into the Death Star or whatever. Yeah,
it's got one fin kind of on top and then two wings down at a lower angle.
It's like an Imperial, like almost like royal transport or like cargo ship, essentially. It drops off supplies or carries VIPs. Yeah, that typical type of stuff.
But Slave One is firing away at that. Boba's piloting the Slave One, obviously, and is firing away. We see then that they are chasing Dr. Pershing, and they end up shooting the ship with an ion cannon type of thing. Not an ion cannon, but like a
ion.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry.
And so ion cannons more or less just disable electronics. It's almost like a smaller EMP blast.
Yeah.
Type deal.
But they do that, disable the ship. It's just kind of floating now. So they they go in to dock it. As they do so, the door opens up. Mando comes in. They all kind of come in. But one of the pilots that was in the Lambda thing with Dr. Pershing grabs him by gunpoint, saying he is of high value. He's a clone engineer, basically being like, you don't want him dead on your hands kind of thing. Then this guy ends up mocking Kara, saying, I was on the Death Star. I saw Alderaan destroyed. And there was kind of a little bit of back and forth. He was like, I was on the Death Star. And she's just like, oh, yeah, which one? Because of how that went. But he's saying that, so they're being really kind of, not so kind to one another. And then he ends up trying to set up some kind of terms of whatever and making a move, and she shoots him in the face.
Yeah, I mean, he had it coming. He was being
He did. He was not being nice at all. And then so we get the title card after that. And then after we come out of the title card, we see them enter a planet and land. I believe, do you know what planet that is? Because at first it kind of looked like Navarro, but then it was like, oh, I don't think it's that.
No, I don't think it's Navarro.
Is it? I mean, so the thing is, they come in and go into a tavern and look around, and they find Bo-Katan and Casca Reeves, one of her team members, another Mandalorian from when we saw her last.
Yeah,
and when we saw her last, it was on Trask, right?
I think that sounds right.
But that was like an ocean port kind of planet.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think they really gave this planet a name.
It could have been the same planet, though. It just had a different location on the planet. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think they really give it a name. It's just kind of a planet where they know Bo-Katan is at.
Yeah, and regardless, it doesn't really matter what planet they're on. They are seeking out Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
and they do find her. Mando says he needs help. He says Moff Gideon has taken the child. Boba says that they don't need the other two Mandalorians. Bo-Katan says that he is not a Mandalorian. Boba isn't. And he goes, never said that I was. Then the other one goes, I didn't know sidekicks were allowed to talk. Just automatically like aggression there. Boba says basically the equivalent. That is basically the equivalent to isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Whatever he
Yeah,
said
more or
was some
less.
goofy translation of that.
He
Like it was even
says
styled the same.
he
Yeah,
says, well, if that isn't the Quacta calling the stifling Slimmy.
I think slimy. I don't know, but it was just
Slimy,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's essentially, isn't that the pot calling the
It's
kettle black?
yeah, but basically being like, oh yeah, coming from you, you're a sidekick too. You know, they're very confrontational, but Bo-Katan ends up telling them to stand down. Mando says that he has the coordinates to Moff Gideon's cruiser, which obviously piques the interest of Bo-Katan because she wants that darksaber. Then Boba ends up getting into a fight with the other one. They end up breaking crap. In my notes, I wrote Boba Katan because I was not paying attention. And yeah. But anyway, Bo-Katan ends up breaking it up. She says Moff Gideon has the darksaber. She wants it. Mando agrees that she can have anything she wants if she helps him get the child. He doesn't give a crap about anything else. He just wants that child.
Yeah.
Dr. Pershing, we go back to the ship, and Dr. Pershing gives some insight as to what the ship has on it. He's pointing out on this hollow map of the ship, kind of a layout. He's basically just being like, oh yeah, here's where they're keeping the Dark Troopers. Over here's where the child is. He's not, as we've said before, he's not really allied with the Empire. He's just kind of employed, I feel like.
Yeah,
He's in it for science. He's not in it for, wanting the bad outcome that is coming from it, I don't think.
He's allied with the Empire out of necessity rather than end goal.
Yeah. So I feel like he's a little more willing just to help them out because, like, it's like, who cares kind of thing. Like, he's in it for one reason, and it's like, I feel like he may have a bit more of a conscience to it.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, so he does that. They end up forming a plan. Casca Reeves is I made the note because I remembered her name. But anyway, they travel towards that ship. Lambda Fighter is the name of the type of ship. But they end up styling it like, okay, Boba's gonna come in, very convincingly shoot at us. We're gonna request to board onto Moff Gideon's ship to escape danger, and that's how we're going to get on. So Boba's making it look convincing, and yeah.
They kind of go a little further too, saying, once they are on board, all, Kara, Dune, and, Bo-Katan, and all of them that actually board on this Imperial transport are going to, cause a big scene, start shooting and whatnot, and then Mando can slip through.
Yep.
Go full stealth mode to go and find the child.
Right. And as they come in, start requesting help, the Imperials send out TIE fighters. They basically force emergency lands. They're like, we gotta go, we gotta land. And the person in charge of kind of coordinate stuff is like, no, don't do that. And they end up going into the launching tube, which is a thinner area that all the TIE fighters were being launched out of. So it's kind of like, you're not probably supposed to go in there.
Well, it's right there at the front of this light cruiser. And, the cruiser does end up launching a couple TIE fighters. But that's like you said, the launch tube for the TIE fighters. And it's got two side hangars, one on each side for them to come back in, to land or, refuel, rearm, whatever they do for the TIE fighters from there. But yeah, that's the launch tube. That's how the TIE fighters leave. So intentionally designed. Let's crash into there so they can't launch any more TIE fighters. Then they can get out before we do it, type of deal.
Yeah, but they land there, do that. Boba just kind of flies away after destroying the TIE fighters. Out comes Kara, Casca Reeves, Bo-Katan, and Fennec just firing away, doing exactly what the plan you said was. They're doing that. They're firing away, shooting all the stormtroopers, all the, making a big commotion. Gideon commands the activation of the Dark Troopers, and as we see them kind of activating a little bit, we get some cool like low-key dubstep going on, and like it's they're powering up and getting ready, and we see their red eyes and all that stuff. We then see Mando leave the ship after the way has been cleared, and kind of starts sneaking his way off. We see Bo-Katan and them make their way into the ship a little bit further. Mando works his way towards the child. The Dark Troopers are just about ready. Bo-Katan, Casca, Fennec, and Cara make their way further, killing some troopers along the way. And now the Dark Troopers are activated. Also, at any point, you can just like wave and be like, hey, because I don't know if there's anything. Right now, it's pretty fast-paced action. And as we have said in the past with the action scenes, there's not a ton to say.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they're kind of doing this. We'll walk you through what's going on, but it's not like there's much to break down in them.
No, and I mean, it's like you said, like it's all just action stuff. It's either, Kara and like Bo-Katan and them making their way through killing people, or it's Mando, sneaking his way through.
Yeah, that's pretty well what's going on now. But Dark Troopers are activated. Mando works his way along, still remaining hidden. The others are still just tearing stuff up.
Yeah, just fighting their way through.
Mm-hmm. Kara's gun even jams, and she just starts using it as a club, like just beating down stormtroopers. Mando approaches the door that the Dark Troopers are kind of aligning to go through. Starts kind of being like, oh, crap, freaking out a little bit. He tries closing the doors. Starts to, but one gets through. He gets thrown aside. It deflects his blaster as he starts shooting at it. This thing's super strong.
And then it literally gets a hold of him against the wall and just starts punching his head into the wall.
Yeah, but I've seen the scene from another one of his characters. His head would have been the same.
Yeah.
If he didn't have this Beskar helmet on.
Yeah, the only reason Mando's alive
strong
right now is because of that Beskar. Because, the thing is, it's not like he's just not he's feeling the hits.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as bad as if it was directly on his face. But he's definitely, he's probably got a solid concussion after this.
Yeah.
But he does use his flamethrower to try and, get the Dark Trooper off of him. But it just doesn't really care and throws him to the side.
Yeah. And as it approaches him again, he does end up managing to stab it through the neck / head with his Beskar spear, which then puts an end to it. He then engages that door like that. So they were in kind of like a cargo hold type area.
Like an airlock.
Yeah. And he just opens the door that is between them and space. So they just go out the door.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, he was told they're not people, and they've seen the Dark Troopers with rockets on the bottom of their feet.
Yeah,
and there are ways back onto the ship. So I don't know. I understand that's like a quick solution to his problem, but
it's not a good solution.
I feel like he would have to at the very least be aware that they're probably going to see the Dark Troopers again. I don't think he's thinking that okay, that takes care of them, we're good,
Yeah.
And I also have to think that there's no way that's the only Dark Troopers Moff Gideon has on the ship. I feel like he would definitely have a lot more.
You would think so with that too, yeah. But yeah, so they're really gone. But like you said, they got rockets on their feet. For sure they're coming back. But let's see here. Yeah. So then he continues moving along. He ends up killing the troopers that are standing guard outside of the child's holding cell. He opens it to find... meanwhile, by the way, the others have found their way to the the pilot's area, the cockpit.
The bridge.
Yeah. And Gideon's no place to be seen, but they've pretty well cleared the way for the rest. I mean, there's...
Yeah, and one of them grabs some sort of data stick and saying they've disabled the weapons and stuff on this cruiser as well. So
yeah,
they have control of the ship.
Yeah, they do, and they've
But
cleared the way. They're good. They've got it under control. However, then Mando comes in and sees Gideon holding the dark saber over the child. Tells Mando to drop the blaster, so he does. Tells him to kick it over to him, so he does. Gideon talks to Mando, showing he knows everything that's been going on. Like he's well informed. He says that whoever has the dark saber has the right to lay claim to the Mandalorian throne. That's why Bo-Katan is so desperately after it. Mando just says he wants the kid. He doesn't care about the dark saber. Like basically, like I just want the kid. Keep it. I don't care. Give me the kid. Gideon seemingly agrees and sheaths the dark saber. Says that he has what he wanted. He's got the blood. So go ahead, take the kid. So Mando walks over to the kid, picks him up, tries to, and Gideon attacks him. But because Mando's wearing Beskar, it does not, slice him up and kill him. He's being attacked now.
the Beskar saves him again.
Yeah. But Mando ends up drawing his spear, and they're kind of in basically a sword fight because he does, Gideon has the darksaber, Mando's got his spear, and he's deflecting, they're fighting and all that.
And I would say, too, that, like, Mando is at a distinct disadvantage in this fight for two reasons. Number one, he has, as far as I'm aware, he wouldn't have a whole lot of experience in spear fighting.
Yeah.
He uses the spear mainly as just some sort of stick, like a staff. He's not taking advantage of the blade there at the end of the spear. And number two, Moff Gideon has the darksaber.
Yeah.
That's just an automatic advantage, even though Mando has Beskar.
I'm also
all Moff Gideon has to do is hit a small gap in that Beskar.
Yeah.
And Mando's done for.
Right, and I'm also getting the impression though that Gideon he's not trained in sword fighting either. He's not like, I don't know. He's swinging it around like good and accurately, but he's not like, there's not like precision like you would see with like a Jedi that had training or like.
Yeah, I would say he has some blade fighting training,
And maybe he does.
because he was a Mandalorian at one point.
Moff Gideon was.
Moff Gideon was, yeah.
Do we know much of a background to him?
Not a whole lot, but through the flashbacks we've gotten with Mando in his past, the whole thing where he didn't like droids and whatnot, I think we actually found out in season 1, Moff Gideon's the one that actually found Mando after his parents were killed.
How did we? No, I'm missing something there. How? What? No. No. Where the heck did we? No. Where does that come from? Is it speculation?
I want to say it's like the 7th or 8th episode of season 1.
No, I remember somebody coming and getting Mando, but was it like a post-credit scene or something? Because I didn't see that.
Because it keeps doing the flashbacks in season 1. It does the flashbacks and it shows him getting taken out of that bunker. It shows his parents putting him there, closing the door, blah blah blah. Parents die. Super battle droid opens the doors up, is about to kill Mando as a child, and then it gets destroyed. It gets and it shows Mandalorians flying overhead with their jetpacks.
I remember the scene, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a thing.
It does show Moff Gideon. I will look this up to double check.
Look it up right now, because I'm Googling it now.
Yeah.
I do see here there's a thing from Screen Rant that says Death Watch saved the Mandalorian as a kid, but how does that have anything to do with Moff Gideon? That'd be low-key kind of cool and a wacky connection, but I'm having a really, really hard time believing that because there's nothing that I've drawn, to figure that out.
Well, if I could actually freaking type.
I don't think that that's I don't think that's a thing. I do see where apparently it was Death Watch that saved him.
Yes.
And it says
Um.
Jarn was saved as a child, and it is even more interesting to know that the followers of Pre Vizsla were the ones who took him in as a foundling. If their inclusion is to be any more than a cameo remains to be seen, but there are many ways the story could go. Um,
So at the very least, though,
yeah,
Moff Gideon would had to have been there as part of Death Watch, because early, this is season 1, when we first get introduced to Moff Gideon, when Manda and Kara and what's his name, Grief Karga,
yeah,
they're all sitting there in that tavern with all the stormtroopers and whatnot surrounding them.
mm-hmm,
And Mando goes, I recognize that voice. That's Moff Gideon,
yeah.
and like only like the fact that he knew Mando's name means that's Moff Gideon. And so Mando would not have gone by his name of Din Jar,
Well,
whatever
that's
the
true,
how
but
you
like,
pronounce
I
it,
just
right? He wouldn't go by that name after he gets taken in by the Mandalorians. So Moff Gideon would have had to have been given that name by Mando before he even became even like a foundling.
yeah, but he was
So
also a
at the
former,
very
but he
least,
was also a
uh,
former ISB person, so it's like he would have
yeah,
had
and
access to
so
that information anyway.
and this is something that you see in Rebels, right? During the whole Mandalorian Civil War, during the Empire time period, when the Empire basically completely destroyed the planet of Mandalore, like glassed it essentially. The Mandalorians were split in half. Half agreed and sided with the Empire, and half were like, "Nah, fam, we're not about that." And that's what led to another civil war on Mandalore. So just because Moff Gideon is Empire does not mean he's not Mandalorian.
I don't
And for
think
Moff Gideon to know Mando's name, he would have had to have been there when Mando was rescued.
I
So
don't
whether Moff Gideon is one that destroys the droid and saves him directly, or at the very least was there with those other Mandalorians saving, I guess, that village, Moff Gideon would have to have been there when Mando was saved as a child. In order for him to know Mando's name, and then you also incorporate all of the knowledge
no,
that
he
Moff Gideon has on Mandalorian tradition and all of that, it all leads back to the conclusion of, at a minimum, he had to have been a Mandalorian.
I don't think that he was. I think though there is a theory here that says Gideon got a bunch of Mandalorians to fight for the Empire and was associated to like with them through that. But I don't think he's nothing I've seen is that he's Mandalorian. It's a cool theory, but like we got in the in season 1 that he was an ISB person, right? Like one of those. That's like
Yeah.
so he has access to the registries which he would not have been able to access unless he was here at this time. That's how he knows his name. Like Mando explained that in season 1. I will pull up my notes for season 1 because like I remember that being kind of like a oh, okay moment. I don't think he's not Mandalorian himself. But he does very much know, the traditions and all that crap. So, let's see, chapter, it would have been probably 8. Um, Here. Uh, He refers to Kara as Republican, shock trooper Kara Cynthia Dune of Alderaan, decommissioned Mandalorian Hunter Din Djarin, Grief Karga. He knows all of them. Mando gives them until nightfall. Blah blah blah. Or Gideon does. Uh, Mando knows who Moff Gideon is. He's rumored to be executed for war crimes. We get a bit more of a background to Mando, which he was born, whatever. Whatever city was his home, getting assaulted. We see all that. The only records of Mando's family name was in the registers of Mandalore. Gideon was an ISB officer during the Purge. That's how he knows it's him. So during the Purge of Mandalore, Gideon was an ISB officer and was able to access their registries during that time. And that's the only records of Mando's family name. That's how he was able to access those.
Shut up, phone. I don't care. That still doesn't explain though how Mando would know that only Moff Gideon would know his name. You know what I mean though?
Well,
And even though yes, he was an ISB agent for the Great Purge or the Purge of Mandalore, that still doesn't explain his in-depth knowledge of Mandalorian tradition.
but if he
That's
had,
not something Mandalorians share with outsiders, regardless of which side they were on.
yeah,
Like
I think that
I don't know.
there's
All
definitely
the evidence to me points to him at some point being part of the Mandalorian tradition. Maybe not bleh, maybe not the actual race itself of Mandalorians, but at some point the tradition of
somehow
Mandalorian.
he is for sure well acquainted with some Mandalorians, whether that is the theory that he employed Death Watch or any other form of it to help with the Empire and got to know them that way, or maybe he was even in charge of Mando's freaking, the Purge. That's where it took place, right? Mando's stuff, like his
No,
backstory. That's not during the
no,
Purge.
the Great Purge.
No, because
was
he
during the
wasn't
time of the
Mandalorian in the
Empire.
beginning. Never mind.
Yeah, the Great Purge was during the time of the Empire. Mandalorian's backstory and whatnot that we see through the
Yeah, you're
flashbacks in
right.
season 1 is during the Clone Wars.
That's true. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. Either way, though, it's like
I'm still sticking with the side that he at some point Moff Gideon at some point was Mandalorian via tradition at the very least.
I think. I mean,
I think that's where a lot of the evidence points to.
yeah, it's an interesting theory. I just don't think that it's been. It hasn't clearly been stated or said. So it's like I do question it. However, I mean, it's an interesting theory, and I mean, it could be true, but we don't. At this point, I don't feel like we know enough about Moff Gideon to really say anything that's not based off of speculation. Though there are a lot of questions, and it's like, okay, how does he know all this? Obviously, you can be well researched, but like you said, Mandalorians are kind of secretive, and it's like, well, we're not gonna. And it's like everything about their thing or their culture,
and like,
but
in the Clone Wars TV show, there's some episodes that where we see Mandalorians and we see Death Watch and whatnot, because that's Death Watch is a clan of Mandalore, you know. And even in that one, they're still very like secretive, and they don't give out a whole lot of information about their culture, about their background,
Yeah.
about their way of life. And especially when we first meet Mando in this TV show, like again, like that enclave that he was a part of, again, very secretive, didn't go out a whole lot. Like only one of them was allowed to leave at one time, I think it said somewhere. Or like maybe very
Yeah.
few of them were allowed to leave at one time.
It was basically, yeah.
And so like everything we see about Mandalorians, most of the things we see about Mandalorians points to them being very secretive and very, tradition driven and not really giving out that tradition in too much detail.
Yeah.
And so like the fact that Moff Gideon knows so much about said tradition, like to me, points to a simple fact that he at one point was Mandalorian. But like you said, it is speculation. I just think that's where all the evidence points to.
Hmm.
And like, yeah, Moff Gideon was ISB, during the Great Purge and whatnot. But again, that also raises the question of, okay, Mandalorian sees Din Djarin's name on a list. How can he automatically, put that with Mando? Because Mando doesn't even go by his actual name.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like there's so many holes that we haven't gotten answers to yet about Moff Gideon and where he gets his knowledge and all that kind of stuff. That my only conclusion is, at some point, this is speculation. This is kind of what I think on it.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, he was part of the Mandalorian culture. Maybe not so much the actual race itself, but at least the culture. And at one point, he would have had to have been part of Death Watch, and at the very least, was on the planet when Din Djarin or Mando was saved by Death Watch. Because I just don't see how he sees the name on a list, but how does he equate that with Mando? Like I feel like he would have had to have been there, and then kept track of Mando through through Mando growing up and going through his training and whatnot to know that this is Din Djarin and not just some other Mandalorian.
Also, I just pieced it together. I read it where it's like, a potential where it was Death Watch that saved him. It's pretty confirmed that it was Death Watch, right? Because thinking of it, his division, his like sect is called Children of the Watch, right?
So that does not confirm it's Death Watch. What confirms it's Death Watch is the design of the armor of the Mandalorians we see in some of those flashbacks.
Okay.
And I don't know how far into Clone Wars you are.
I mean, I've met Death Watch and stuff.
You okay. But Death Watch has that almost like the, I don't know how to say it because I don't know how far into the show you are. Because Death Watch has one design of their armor earlier in the show when you meet them.
Oh.
And then it changes later in the show.
Gotcha. Well, either way, there's distinct markings that lead. It's like it is.
Distinct markings and whatnot on their armor that confirms them as Death Watch. You can literally compare the armor in those cutscenes there are those flashbacks from this show to the armor in later seasons of Clone Wars.
Okay.
Like that's the same design, it's the same marks, and marks are very important to the Mandalorians, very symbolic.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's not even within question of whether or not they were Death Watch or not.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, we went off on a bit of a tangent there.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the episode. Before we do so, let's go ahead and do a sponsor break. And then let's go ahead and return. So, yeah, they were fighting. Mando's got his spear. Gideon's got the dark saber. They're fighting in the hallway outside of the room that the child was being held in.
And we had talked about it before when Ahsoka and Mando were fighting, where if Ahsoka was able to hold her lightsaber against, some of his Beskar, eventually it would, heat up and melt and whatnot. We actually get to see that a little bit.
A high melting point.
We get to see that a little bit here in this fight scene. 'Cause there's a couple different times where Mando is simply holding Moff Gideon back with the spear on the darksaber, and the spear starts to heat up.
We see it
And
like
at one
glowing
point, I think it
red.
goes like full red. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's held there for so long, and being a lightsaber, it's very hot.
Yeah. Um, but they end up they're fighting a bit. Yeah, well, they're fighting a bit, and Mando ends up basically disarming Gideon and holding him at spear point, winning. Like,
Yeah.
he won the fight.
And
He does spare Gideon's life though.
Yeah, and there is a lot of theories, and I don't know if it was ever confirmed or not. I have to double check that Moff Gideon actually lets Mando win in this fight because, as we can tell with some of the stuff with how Moff Gideon and both Bo-Katan have talked about the other, they have a history there. They have a hatred for each other, and it wouldn't surprise me if Moff Gideon was like, "Hey, this is her ally, but I know she's after the darksaber. Let's put them at odds with each other. Maybe I can get the upper hand later on."
Yeah, that is definitely a I can see that being a valid theory.
And because even after Mando wins, Moff Gideon has a little bit of like a grin to his face, like, "Yeah, you won, but guess what?"
He does, yeah.
Type of grin to him.
Yeah. But Mando walks into the bridge where everybody else is, and he's holding the child and he's bringing along Gideon. Bo-Katan turns and is just kind of like, "What happened?" Like, she's not happy
she
because
sees Mando.
Mando has the darksaber.
Yeah.
And if we have learned anything about that, and it ends up actually explaining it, so I'll hold off. But she asks what happened. Gideon explains Mando defeated Gideon, so the darksaber is his. Mando says, he's like, "Well, I don't want it." He tries to give it to Bo-Katan. Gideon continues saying that she can't take it as it wasn't won in battle. Mando's like, "Well, then I yield. Take it." He's constantly trying to give it to her, but it doesn't work that way because he says that the darksaber itself has no power, but the story and how you have obtained it does. That's what gives you the right to lay claim to the Mandalorian throne.
Yeah, and I've talked about it before.
Uh-huh.
And in truth, and I'll say it again, in truth, the darksaber doesn't belong to anybody on that ship. In truth, it does not belong to any of them.
Yeah, because wasn't it like... Go ahead. Just explain.
So, the first time we see the darksaber is in the Clone Wars.
Uh-huh.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi is fighting Pre Vizsla, I believe his name is.
Sounds right.
And actually beats Pre Vizsla. So technically,
oh yeah,
the darksaber belongs to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Then Obi-Wan, at the end of the day, quote unquote, loses to Darth Vader. So therefore, the darksaber technically belongs to Darth Vader. Darth Vader is killed by the Emperor. So technically, therefore, it falls to the Emperor. Well, the Emperor was killed by Luke. Luke, Darth Vader, however you want to say it, right? So, I guess it falls to the Emperor. Darth Vader then kills the Emperor, goes back to Darth Vader. Darth Vader dies, technically being beaten by Luke. It's a weird trifecta thing that happens there. So, but at the end of the day, Luke comes out on top, so therefore it belongs to Luke. Kylo Ren kills Luke in episode 8.
Doesn't.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Quote unquote kills Luke.
No, you know what? Okay, I see where you're...
Let me finish the order real
whatever.
quick. Okay. Kylo Ren, quote unquote, defeats Luke, so therefore the darksaber technically belongs to Kylo Ren. The Emperor kills Kylo Ren, episode 9, so technically it belongs to the Emperor again. Rey kills the Emperor, therefore the darksaber technically, per the traditions of Mandalore, belongs to Rey.
I refuse.
And that's how it technically goes.
I refuse to believe that, though, and I understand the flow of logic. I understand all of that. It makes sense. However, I refuse to believe that Darth Vader killed Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan was like basically like, "It's my time to go," and just disappeared. Same with what Luke did.
Yeah.
He didn't get killed. He just chose to form into a ghost. Not really die, but just go whoop. So
And so
I
but
think that
that is
Obi-Wan
the
has it. I think Obi-Wan has rightful heir to it, even though he's, you know,
that is technically the order of operations,
yes.
the freaking order of which the Darksaber is technically supposed to go.
Getting a phone call really quick.
Um,
I'm back.
I will say though, Jacob, there is another order of which the Darksaber can go
Yeah.
as well, which leads to where it is now.
Okay.
And that goes the fight between Obi-Wan and Pre Vizsla, right?
Yes.
Yes, Obi-Wan wins that fight, but he doesn't take the Darksaber, so it still belongs to Pre Vizsla.
Not really though, because if you're really
I
respecting
know. Yeah,
But okay.
but and that's where it kind of gets weird with the loophole and whatnot and whatever, however you want to say it. So Pre Vizsla still has the Darksaber.
Nah.
Pre Vizsla loses a fight against Darth Maul. So and Darth Maul claims the Darksaber. So therefore, Darth Maul is the owner of the Darksaber. Darth Maul fights the Emperor at one point in Clone Wars. Sorry, spoiler, Jacob.
Nah, I've
If
seen
you haven't reached that
YouTube
point.
videos.
Okay. But Darth Maul fights the Emperor, or I guess Chancellor Palpatine at that time, Darth Sidious, and gets his frickin' butt handed to him. And so then, technically, Darth Sidious owns it, but again, he doesn't actually claim it. He leaves it with Darth Maul. And so at some point, which we have not been given yet, Darth Maul loses the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. Whether there's a fight in between there where Darth Maul loses it maybe to Moff Gideon and then Bo-Katan, or to Bo-Katan and then Bo-Katan loses it to Moff Gideon, or how many other people are in that order, we have not been given that information yet.
I'm gonna go ahead and refuse that one too, because we know for a fact that Obi-Wan defeated Darth Maul, and so I think that Obi-Wan still owns it. I think it's him. But actually, but Bo-Katan did say
Rebels,
Bo-Katan did say that Gideon stole it from her. So whatever is in between that and her, I think she had it first, then Moff Gideon took it, and now she's trying to get it back.
And so if I remember correctly, I'm trying to think, it would have to be, without knowing any more information, it would have to be Bo-Katan beat Darth Maul, is what it would have to be. Or no, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember now. So the part where I'm 100% sure is Darth Maul has it, right?
Yeah. Well,
even after he loses to Darth Sidious.
I just remembered.
Darth Sidious leaves it with Darth Maul.
Yeah, I just remembered something about Darth Maul having it that I'm gonna start crying about.
In Rebels, there's a 3-episode story arc of the Civil War of Mandalore, or the Great Purge, or whatever you want to call it. And one of the characters named, this is spoilers, by the way, so if you want to take your earpiece out, Jacob, go ahead. But one of the characters in Rebels named Sabine actually beats a Mandalorian on Mandalore and gets the Darksaber, and then gives it to Bo-Katan. They don't fight, they don't do anything like that. She just straight up gives it, like Mando's trying to do right now. But in Rebels, Bo-Katan actually takes it. And so after that, it would have to be she loses it to Moff Gideon, now trying to get it back. I don't know. It's kind of a contradiction there, but
it's very much a contradiction. And I feel like Bo-Katan, between that and there's like hypocrisy, kind of, because then also you're like, when Mando first met her, she's like, oh, he's one of them. You gotta leave the tradition of Mandalore or whatever. It's like you're what did they call it? Zealot, religious zealot for them, and basically being like, you need to get out of your old beliefs. But now she's like, no, it's got to stay to tradition. It's like, well, where's the line drawn? Especially now that you bring that up in Rebels, it's like, well, what the heck?
Yeah, it's like this whole thing.
Like, I get it, you want it, obviously, but like.
And so I guess the part where I'm not sure of, because I don't remember, or the information has not been given, is how that Mandalorian that Sabine fights in Rebels, how he got it.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of there's a lot of mystery and gray areas when it comes to the Darksaber.
Okay. Well, returning to
But
it, though.
those are the two very weird, very quote unquote technical paths of the Darksaber that we know of.
Yeah. Well, getting back to this, Mando's trying to give it to Bo-Katan. Nope, she won't take it. Gideon says the dark saber has no power. The story does. So he tries again. And he's like, just take it, and can't. We get a little bit of signal on the radar that they have. The dark troopers are coming back. Imagine that. They didn't. I thought they didn't have rockets on their feet or anything, but they board the ship and they start approaching. The group, whoever it is, maybe Bo-Katan, I don't know. They throw Gideon aside, and he lands on a blaster and kind of drapes his cape over it, like he hides it. Like, I'm going to use that later. Troopers approach the cockpit. Fennec has them seal the blast doors. The dark troopers approach it and start just punching the heck out of it, slowly bending it inward. Gideon just smiles kind of menacingly. He says that everyone in this room will be dead at the end of this, aside from him and the child. As the dark troopers... Go ahead.
Sorry, I have to wonder about the dark troopers, because we've seen them take blaster shots and whatnot. And take no damage. I have to wonder if Moff Gideon didn't somehow get some Beskar maybe incorporated into their...
I was kind of questioning that too, like what their exact
I wouldn't say very much, but just enough to where like blaster fire doesn't do anything to it.
Right.
Yeah. It's
like it's not pure Beskar, but it could be.
Even with these, because with these dark troopers like punching the doors, like you can see the doors taking a beating and it's got like scratches and stuff on it and whatnot. But, like, it never looks like the dark troopers' hands, are taking any sort of damage. Right. Or even, like... I mean, I guess we don't get a full frontal on their fists, but, it doesn't look like they're even getting scraped or anything like that.
Yeah. But, yeah, they're doing that. They've clearly got, high-density metal, which is likely got some Beskar in it, but we're not really... There's no confirmation on that. But, I mean, just the way it's handling... No... Well, yeah, it could be some. It could be, like, mixed in. It's for sure not pure Beskar, but...
maybe, like, small traces up type of thing. Maybe.
Right. Kind of like a mix to get, the strength there, but it's not pure, so it's like it's still got some wiggle room, but, yeah. But they continue to break in, and trying that, Gideon says, everybody in this room is going to be dead at the end of this, aside from him and the child. As the Dark Troopers continue to do this, an alarm starts beeping, and we see an X-Wing come in outside the window, because like we said, they're in the bridge. You can see outside where they're going and stuff, but we see that come in. It comes in, and it lands in the hangar. I think they even try communicating to it, like, who are you, and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've seen X-Wings in this show before, being...
probably Wolf.
Trapper Wolf.
Probably coming to save the day.
I can't think of the other guy. But it's still part of the New Republic.
Wolf's
and
coming
stuff.
to save the day. He's gonna belly flop all the Death Troopers, all the Dark Troopers.
Yeah. But anyway, it lands in the hangar. They try saying something to it. Nothing. No response.
Because as they see it come in, they're like, "Oh, great! One X-wing, we're saved."
Yeah. But Grogu kind of perks up as we see it go into the hangar. He's kind of like, "Huh."
Yeah, and all the Dark Troopers too, like, stop punching the door and they all turn around.
Yeah, they're kind of like, wait a minute. And everyone just kind of looks confused. Like, why did that stop? What is this? What's happening? And the Dark Troopers then turn their attention towards the hangar. We see on the cameras from the bridge a hooded figure approaching, and Dark Troopers start approaching it. And as they do, a lightsaber ignites and just shreds them. We do see some kind of cut back and forth between the video feed and the actual, in-person thing. And we do see that the saber that whoever this is wielding is green. Meanwhile, Moff Gideon's just kind of...
nudge. Hint, nudge, nudge, hint.
Plo Koon.
Yes. Plo Koon had a blue lightsaber.
He got a new one.
This is
No, did you know though, and we haven't said who it is yet, but did you know that in the original concept art to kind of conceal who this actually is, that they did have they wrote it into where Plo Koon was the one who showed up?
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I believe you.
What?
I think you're trying to mess with me right now.
I'm not. 100%. I'm not. I saw a thing on it where there's actually concept art of Plo Koon being the one who shows up to who the child contacted via the Force, like it actually being him.
It's definitely Luminara.
Yeah,
Unduli.
I actually think it's Coyote
That's who it
Mundi.
is.
Because he for sure survived.
Again, blue lightsaber.
I don't care, okay? I'm just going
Jacob,
off of,
you're not even trying here.
No,
Come on.
You know what I was thinking of? He got lit up. All right? That's what I was thinking. And who cares what their color of lightsaber is? Freaking, I mean, people change lightsabers.
It's definitely the old librarian from the Jedi Temple.
Yeah, I think it's for sure.
That's who it is. I'm drawing a blank on her name now,
too.
but that's definitely who it is.
I am too. Either way,
Yeah,
we're being
that's dumb.
stupid, regardless.
Go ahead and mark down that time because I said a naughty word.
Oh, you did? Thank you for letting me know that, because I did not know that. I did not hear anything.
Yeah, I said that dumb B word.
All right. Well, anyway, you know what? Who is the librarian in Star Wars? Jocasta? No?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. That's it.
Anyway, I just wanted to make sure because that was bugging me.
She actually survived. She actually survived Order
Did she?
66 and took younglings with her to try and start a new Jedi Order.
Really?
Darth Vader finds her and frickin' destroys her.
Aw.
He straight up butchers her and the Padawans that she took with her.
Oof.
Straight up wrecks them. Does a whole another Order 66 in the Jedi Council room all over again.
Ooh, jeez, dude. All right, well, neat.
Yeah, he didn't do that just once, baby. He did that at least twice.
Boy. All right. Well, anyway.
Murdering younglings.
God, dude. All right, so
Darth Vader, 2024.
But Moff Gideon is looking like, because he's still on the floor, and he looks very concerned. He's like,
oh yeah.
uh-oh. But this Jedi,
He looks straight up terrified.
he does. He looks sincerely terrified. The Jedi continues just to destroy the Dark Troopers. He's just shredding through them, cutting them in half, slicing them and stuff. Gideon pulls out that gun that he landed on, shoots Bo-Katan. I believe it's her that he shoots, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I couldn't really tell.
Shoots her a couple of times. Tries to shoot
both.
Go ahead.
Yeah, both Bo-Katan and whatever the other chick's name is, put their helmets back on.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell which one of the two it was.
My guess, because of their history, it's probably Bo-Katan. He's trying to kill her. But he shoots her.
Yeah, that would be my
it
assumption
hits,
as well.
Yeah, but he shoots at her. It hits her Beskar, so she's just kind of like, what the heck? And turns. He then turns and tries to shoot the child, but Mando jumps in the way. He then turns to shoot himself in the head, but he gets... What?
I'm sorry, but I had to interject real quick because that whole time when he shoots at whether it was Bo-Katan or the other one,
Yeah.
because those two don't have any Beskar on their legs.
Uh-huh.
They have them on their shin, but not on their thigh. He straight up goes shin, chest, shin, chest, shin, chest, shin, chest. Never head, never the thigh where they're not wearing Beskar. Never the forearm or something like that where they're not wearing Beskar.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, what are you doing? Sorry, please continue.
No, I'm sorry for not seeing you frantically waving in the camera. I got to figure out a good format to do this because you're over here, my notes are over here, so I'm looking over here and relying on peripherals to see you. When
and
you're
then I
talking,
have to go like
I'm
this in
looking
front
at
of my
you.
camera to try and get your attention.
I know, I'm sorry. But anyway, the child, okay, so yeah, he does that, but he goes to shoot himself, he gets the gun knocked out of his hand, and then just gets knocked out.
Yeah, Cara Dune straight butt stocks his face.
Mm-hmm. The child is looking at the security feed as the Jedi continues to move throughout the ship up and into an elevator.
Yeah, and I just have to say though, with the outfit this Jedi, we're assuming at this point Jedi, right?
I mean, it's a pretty safe assumption.
but I mean, like nothing's been confirmed yet this far in the episode. So assuming, quote unquote, assuming, but it's like okay, it's a Jedi.
It's
But
pretty good to say because
with
everything's
the
lining up to it being one. I mean, come on.
mm-hmm. And I mean, with the lightsaber color and the color of said Jedi's outfit and all that, like, I instantly made the assumption of who it was.
Yeah.
Just, based on what we saw, what we see up until this point.
Yeah.
And I think everybody else that's seen the episode can assume as well. But I'll wait until we actually get to that point before saying who.
Yeah. That sounds good. But he goes up the elevator, and we see the elevator door open, and there's these 10, I think it was 10 dark troopers that were the ones who were trying to break into the bridge. They're sitting there waiting. The elevator door does open, and that Jedi comes out just swinging. He's shredding them through. He's just destroying them.
So this right here, this part of it, was heavily inspired by that scene at the end of Rogue One with Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah, this part of it specifically. Like, the whole thing, yes, was kind of like based around that. Darth Vader going ham on those rebels. But this one specifically was heavily influenced.
Yeah.
And because I watched, if you line it up, if you put this and that scene right on top of each other, it's damn near identical.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, all right, let's take Darth Vader from that scene and put it in here and put someone else in that place instead of Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's like
same
parallel
movements and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he's just shredding through them, destroying them. In the final one, he destroys with the Force. Like, you can see how strong this Jedi is with it. He picks up the thing and crushes
picks it up and
yeah.
Straight up crushes it, like.
Yeah.
Takes it from the normal size of the Dark Trooper and might as well just turn it into a little bowling ball.
Yeah, he destroyed it.
Like, not that extreme, but like.
But Mando looks to the child, picks him up, and approaches the doors, commanding that they be opened. He then opens the doors because everybody else is kind of like, "Are you crazy?" Like, they don't know who he is. But they open the doors, and even further paralleling that Darth Vader scene, because the smoke that's coming out and just in comes the Jedi, the lightsaber's still lit. Like, it's right in line.
I can see Bo-Katan being extremely hesitant for this because whenever we see this Jedi fighting through the hallways and stuff on the camera there in the bridge, it's black and white.
Oh yeah, so they don't even
color.
They don't really even know the color of the lightsaber.
Yeah, and so Bo-Katan specifically has seen Sith. She has in person seen it. Like, she watches the whole Darth Maul versus Pre Vizsla fight. Like she's physically there watching it happen. So, like, she knows that the Sith are a thing. She can't confirm the identity of said lightsaber color, so it wouldn't surprise me if that just made her even more hesitant.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that take to it. Yeah, the feed was black and white, so they wouldn't even have known. Yeah. I mean, everything that has led up to it, I think that Mando probably is pretty confident. Just because what's happening, first off, he's slaying through the bad guys. And also, the child was reaching out via the Force. It makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it from the characters' perspectives, though, like, they are purely and simply trying to save the child. And I think at some point, Kara in this episode called for help. Called for the New Republic to show up. So when they see an X-Wing show up, it's like, okay, that's the New Republic coming to help.
Yeah.
But, up until this point, the only interaction with any sort of Jedi that Mando has had that we know of is Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
The only experiences with the Force he has had has been through the child itself.
Right.
That he's actually seen. And so as we learned when he was first given his task to return the child to the Jedi, he didn't even know what a Jedi was.
Yeah.
At that point, like, he doesn't know what a Jedi or a Sith is. He's probably maybe heard of them in, like, child stories or something like that, maybe. But So I think he's just assuming, all right, this is a dope warrior that's saving us. Let's let him in and talk to him.
Yeah.
You know. And then he sees the child's reactions and be like, okay, maybe there's more to this character than just someone saving us.
Maybe, yeah, I can see that one too. But, yeah, the doors open. Through the smoke in comes the Jedi. Lightsaber still lit. Again, paralleling that scene from Rogue One. He puts away the lightsaber and takes off his hood to show who? Evan?
Luke Skywalker!
Luke Skywalker. Yeah, it's frickin' Luke. Mando asks if he's a Jedi, and he replies with, I am. Then tells the child to come with him. Mando looks to the child and says he doesn't want to, but Luke replies with, he's actually looking to you like for permission, to go. Luke says that Grogu is strong with the Force, and training will make it stronger. He also swears to give his life to protect the child, but notes that the child will not be safe until he masters his abilities. The child looks to Mando. Mando picks up the child, says it's okay to go, says he will see him again someday, promises. The child reaches out to Mando's helmet, and so Mando reaches up and takes off his helmet to look at the child face to face. The child looks him over, kind of like, oh.
So that's what your ugly mug looks like.
Yeah, what if he was just like, blah, blah, like just blue vomit from the cookies he was still eating?
Throws up all over Mando's chest.
No. But, and that's also not a comment saying Pedro Pascal is ugly, because I don't think he is, but...
That's totally what I was going for.
Well, no, it was as a joke. I'm not saying that it's like reflecting our personal, like, whatever.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, he's
okay.
not
At least
ugly.
on my end, everybody. If anybody's not liking that, attack Evan, not me. But yeah, so he takes off his helmet. The child, kind of touches his cheek. Mando looks very sad, being like he doesn't want to say goodbye to this kid, and stuff. But he goes, "All right, pal, it's time to go." Tells the child not to be afraid. Then in comes R2.
The main character of all of Star Wars.
Yes. Beeps a little bit. The child walks over to him. And they're just kind of like, and Mando's watching. Luke nods to Mando, just kind of being like, all right. And then picks up the child. Yeah.
My question is, does the child and or R2 recognize the other?
Well, how would the child recognize R2? R2 might be like, oh, that's looking like Yoda.
No, because R2 was around during the Clone Wars, in the Jedi Temple and whatnot. The child was in the Jedi Temple during the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So my question is, did they ever cross paths?
Okay, so there's the potential there too. I can see that.
Yeah, that's my question.
I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
Because I don't know how probable it is.
Yeah,
but I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, but
and because at the end of Revenge of the Sith, with the the whole R2 and C-3PO getting handed off to Captain Antilles, from Bail Organa, he says, wipe C-3PO's memory unit, but never R2's.
Yeah.
So as far as we know, because hey, guess what, everybody? Spoiler: we see R2 in every single actual movie all the way through Episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we know,
actual movie.
R2, yeah. R2 has the memory banks of the entirety of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
The Rebellion and the Resistance.
Yeah.
Like, R2 has more knowledge than anyone else in the galaxy at that point.
Right.
So, does R2 know who Grogu is? Does Grogu know who R2 is?
It's possible.
That is my question.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni, I would please like an answer.
Yeah.
Pretty please.
Yeah, hey, come on the podcast, please. That'd be a cool guest. You and I.
That would be another one where I would just be like, oh God.
Yeah, you wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do. See, it would be super cool to get this podcast to the point where we could talk to these guys, and not even like, I feel like, especially Dave Filoni, Ewan McGregor, people like that have, I feel like all they get is just bombarded with questions with these things. Personally, I think it'd be really cool just to have them on and walk through an episode, do exactly what we do, but like just have them with us, It'd be really cool to me. But I would love to get this to a point where that could happen. That'd be amazing.
And then like we could present our theories on something that's not quite clear.
Yeah.
And they could be like, either, hey, that's actually a pretty spot on theory, or like, that's not where we went with that at all. That's not that theory like actually is not applied there. This is what we actually meant for that.
Yeah, maybe not like a spoil, like if it's potential like spoilers, not, but like their take on like what they meant when they, especially in Dave Filoni's perspective, it's like
he's like really the god of Star Wars at this point.
I mean, yeah,
right, right before George Lucas, or right below George Lucas himself.
Yeah. Anyway, though. Back to the episode. Let's wrap this up. I don't have too much time left. But Luke nods to Mando, picks up the child. Luke then says, "May the Force be with you," and walks off. And the child just kind of watches as they walk. He watches Mando and them, and he leaves. They enter the elevator. Mando looks very like teared up. He's just kind of watching like, well, crap,
Mm-hmm.
And then the doors close and end episode.
So,
holy crap.
With us finally concluding The Mandalorian,
yes,
I can go into a theory that I was not able to go into until this point.
All right, go for it.
And I think it is a really cool, but it's also like a why theory.
Okay. Also note,
I think it's both.
I have roughly 8 minutes.
I will do my best.
Please, yes. Okay.
So, as we know, the Star Wars universe went into the timeline and whatnot of episodes 7, 8, and 9 as we have them today.
Yes.
So, that theory, and this is going to have small spoilers for those listening.
Yeah.
Small spoilers. But in that timeline, it is theorized by a very large amount of the fan base of Star Wars that course of events happens because Ahsoka Tano dies in Rebels. There are events in Rebels, and without spoiling too much, there's events in Rebels where Ahsoka Tano quote unquote dies, because obviously Mandalorian, she's alive. And then events happen to where she gets saved and lives. And so the theory is, with that specific event happening, the timeline splits. So events of 7, 8, and 9, as we have them right now, are on a timeline where Ahsoka Tano dies.
Oh, whereas
so
this is projecting towards one where she lives, because because we see her in this.
Yeah, this theory goes to the possibility of almost like a multiverse. Where it's a split timeline. So in the one where we have 7, 8, and 9, it's she dies, and with the Mandalorian and then the Book of Boba Fett and all those, she lives because of specific events that happen in Rebels, and I'm not going to specify on those because I know you have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
And so the theory is that they're going about this with, Mandalorian and, soon to be the Book of Boba Fett and the Ahsoka series and whatnot, that this new timeline is going to essentially erase the events of 7, 8, and 9.
Now, I know we had talked about that potentially being a theory that's going to happen. And I like
because in 7, 8, and 9, or I think it's in 7, I think Luke says something along the lines of, Ben Solo was my first apprentice.
Oh, that doesn't line up.
Something along those lines. So with this now, with him taking Grogu, that points to something completely different.
That's true.
And because the events of Mandalorian, where this ends, I think is roughly 5 to 10 years before
Force Awakens.
Before Luke supposedly took his first apprentice of Ben Solo. So the theory is, with this timeline difference, Luke will have taken Grogu as his apprentice, gotten practice of his own of how to teach and train an apprentice, So that when Ben Solo comes along, he doesn't make the same mistakes that leads to the events of 7, 8, and 9.
Interesting. Well, I do hope that that's the case.
It's kind of like a split timeline, and so I'm like, that's dope. But it's also like, just Disney, leave. Like, you messed up, just leave it as it lies. But it's also like, I would really like you guys to fix this.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
that's like a big theory going on right now.
I like that theory. Interesting.
And it's weird that it all hinges on Ahsoka living or dying.
Yeah.
And the key point in that, after her living and dying, is when Mando takes Grogu to see Ahsoka, and she directs them to that weird Force seeing stone thing.
Yeah.
So in the other timeline, Ahsoka's not around
to do that.
So therefore, that never happens. So when Grogu gets kidnapped, like we see in this,
nobody comes
they
and
never
saves
find. They never find out. So it's basically Grogu gets kidnapped. Events happen in this very similar, but Luke never shows up.
Yeah.
To save them, and Bo-Katan and Mando and Cara and them all die in that end scene there.
Interesting.
All because whether or not Ahsoka lives or dies.
Wow, that's crazy. So, I don't want to cut you off, but I need to go. So, before we do leave, we've got a bunch of links in the description via the one flow page link. That will take you to our email if you want to get in touch with us, Discord if you want to join a community of other people in this, and get in touch with us. That's another method. We also got Instagram, TikTok, multiple other platforms that you can reach us at. And I actually did add the Patreon link in there. If you do want to become a monthly supporter, get early access, ad-free episodes, as well as uncensored content, if you do get the step up. But other than that, join us next time, as we'll probably be next time. Technically, will probably be Lord of the Rings if we can get to it, but we'll dive back into the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So,
as usual, we have our 1,000 downloads for blooper reels.
Yep.
And 25 Apple podcast reviews for live streams, so you guys can interact with us.
That's
for whatever episode or part of a movie that we're covering at said time.
Right. But other than that, see you next time.
Peace.
Deuces.